All right, what I'm making here is some trays for this coming Christmas gift. So what I'm doing, someone asked me if I would sort of make it from the get-go so they could see how to do it also. It's pretty simple. These are just rounds that I buy from Lowe's. Actually, they could be bar stool tops or they could be trays, either one. So I'm using them as trays. I could cut my own wood, but it's less of a hassle to do all the cutting, getting it perfectly round and getting it rounded over. And these are only $7 a piece at Lowe's, so it's a lot easier than me having to buy pieces of wood to cut them myself. So what I'm gonna do here is, I've already done one. Well, let me show you, I've done this other one. I've actually done three. Well, this one's in the making. This one is halfway made. So what I did here, what I do first is I've got some stencils I order off Amazon. They look like this, or this. I got like 8 or 9 of them, different sayings on them. So what I do is, of course, I lay them on top of the wood coat, trace over it with a pencil. And a lot of people use CNC machines for this, but I don't have a CNC machine, so I have a CNC bit. A bit that is in my router. I have several of these bits. This is a real fine bit that I cut in the real tight lettering like that right there. So I put it in my hand router and I use it that way. It comes out the same as if a CNC machine was doing it. It just takes a little bit longer. But this is what I'm doing right now. I've already got it traced out in the stencil. I got to cut it with the bit and the router. This is one I did yesterday that is basically the same way. It's actually this stencil here, but it's already been engraved and everything. So what I did was I spray painted over it black, and then I'll get my sander, 60 grit sander, palm sander, and I'll sand all that black off. And it'll leave the black inside the lettering. So and then after that's all done, I sand it over with a 120 grit to make it nice and real smooth and smooth on the edges. And here's one that's actually finished. I did about a week ago. It's got the word grateful on it off another stencil I had, but this one's stained in it's golden oak, I believe. I'm gonna do these in different colors, but this is stained in golden oak. You can see the black lettering is engraved in there. Did it the same way as I'm doing this one here and do this one here. So that's what it looks like finished. I got to put the handles on the sides, and then it'll be a tray for one of the presents I'm making for Christmas. But put a polyurethane or either polyclear coating on this. Polyclear water base is safe. So that's what it looks like completed. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna sand this one real good. It should be dry, it's been sitting out overnight. Before I route this one, I'm going to sand this one and go ahead and show you that part. Show you how easy it comes off. It takes a little while, but it'll eventually come off. Like I said, no, I use a 60 grit, not 160. 160 would take forever to take that off. So here's the sprays I use. They come from Lowe's. They're the cheaper brand sprays. You don't really need an expensive one for this because it does just fine. These are Project Source from Lowe's. Got a white coloring letters and a black coloring letter. So I'm gonna do one in white, one in black. So now I get my 60 grit sandpaper with my palm sander. Get ready to sand the black off this thing. Got my mask on, which also comes off Amazon. But I'll show you how easy this comes off. Here we go. kind of get the gist of what I'm doing here. So I'm gonna do this off camera, the rest of it. But this is basically what it's gonna look like. You can see how it sands off the black, and the lettering. I still got some sanding to do, but the lettering will shine through because the paint's down in the carved in part. So I'll sand this one off camera so it won't take so long. But what I do have to do a lot of times, I got the 60 grit, but a lot of times what I do is I'll turn the sander on its edge or tilt it back a bit so the edges of the sandpaper can scrub this off a lot better than if you just laid it flat. It'll take a little bit longer. So that's the way I do all my refinished furniture, and I take old stain off. I also do the same thing. I'll tilt it just a little bit so it'll knock off that black a lot quicker, or the old stain or whatever. So I'll do this off camera so it'll be a little bit quicker. All right, got this all sanded off here with that 60 grit. Went back over it with a 120 grit and make it nice and smooth. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and put the pre-stain on this thing before I put the actual stain on. This is pre-stain from Minwax. I get this at Lowe's or Home Depot, either one. Cut me a little bit of a rag up. I just sort of go over it. You can actually just go right over the letters with it. So you ain't gonna hurt them at all. So I cover this entire thing. So the pre-stain will bring out the grain in the wood when you put the regular stain on. So you get this nice and coated. It don't take a lot, but go all the way around it. Take it right over the letters, it won't even bother it. Now if I do one in white, that's when it's time consuming if I do letters in white, because when I get ready to stain it, I have to be careful not to get the stain on top of the letter. Of course it's going, because it would color the stain. I set this thing on bench cookies that I got from Rockler. Picked these up in Jacksonville, at one of the stores there in Jacksonville, Florida. I just happened to be there visiting my daughter, so I didn't have to order them or anything. So I just purchased them there, but they come in pretty handy to keep things sturdy and not roll around on you. So I go ahead and do the sides and all the way around the edges of it. Like I said, it doesn't take much. Just a little bit of dipping the rag in there. When I get through with these rags, they are flammable. A lot of people say that they can catch on fire. So what I have is a bucket of water in my shop that I throw these rags in, so the water can soak them up, and I'll let them dry, and then I can dispose of them that way. So soak in the bucket of water. Don't want them to get heat and blow up back here. So just cover the entire thing. You see how it brings out the grain already there. So all right, done this one. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna let it dry, and I'm gonna go over it. I'm gonna use special walnut on this one from Minwax. I did I think it was either early American or golden oak on the other one, but this is I'm going to use special walnut. I don't want to use too dark of a stain, because if I got the black letters and I use too dark of a stain, it's going to make it where it's hard to read. So I try to go a little bit. This should be a little bit lighter, but we'll find out in just a few minutes. I'll do the back first. That way, in case if I don't like the stain, I can sand that stain off and it'll be on the back. I can redo it. That's what I'll do next. All right. Best to let this dry just a few minutes. The pre-stain. So I'm gonna go ahead and I've shaken up the special walnut while that's sort of dry, and I'm gonna run a test strip on a piece of wood just to see. I use this stain all the time, but I want to make sure that it's not way too dark. All right, put these gloves on here. Get ready to show you what I'm gonna do. These old t-shirts that I cut up that I said, like I said, I throw them in the water bucket after it's over with. Keep them from catching on fire. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run this one's strong. Just run a test strip on this piece of wood. Then we'll flip this and compare it to. I don't think that'll be too dark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stain this thing. Trying to make the contrast between the letters and the stain, but I think it'll be fine. I could do the letters in white, but I like them in black better. But let's see what happens here. All right. Yeah, it ain't gonna be too dark. It's gonna be just right. This stuff's got a smell to it, though. Like I said, it doesn't hurt if it gets on the letters because the letters are dark anyway. For those white letters, I have to be a little more careful. I wouldn't be able to do it like this right here. Get this stain all the way around. Alright. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and do the part of the corner. Those bench cookies that are in here come in pretty handy because it holds it up off the table and doesn't allow it to slide any. So, go all the way around with this. Get my dry rag. Take off the excess stain. I don't keep the stain on there too long. Of course, the longer you keep it on, the darker it'll get. So there's the front part. It didn't overshadow the letters at all, like I thought it would, but I'll just do the same for the back. Stain's not actually not all that dark at all, really. Coat it really good. And just go over the corners of this side a little bit. Alright, get my dry rag, wipe off the excess. Now what I'll do now is I'll put this aside and I'll let it dry for probably overnight till tomorrow. Then I'll put the polyclear over it. Several coats of it, and it'll shine it up a little bit and also protect it. So this one's done. Next I'm going to show you, I'm going to start engraving the other one from step one. So I want to go ahead and get this one out of the way with. That one's completed. Alright, I got them muffled up because I got all my headgear on and everything, mask, but I'm going to start engraving this one. I won't do the whole thing on camera because it's going to take a good little while to do it. That's the difference of the CNC machine versus the palm router or whatever. This takes a little bit longer, but CNC machines are very expensive, so this is the least expensive way. So I get started on it, I'll show you how I'm doing it, and then I'll finish it off camera. Alright, I went ahead and did the F design. Had to lay this beside me because I sort of had to go along with it sometimes. But you get the gist of it, just cut into with the router bit. This is sort of deep, a little bit deeper than I probably would have wanted it, but it's okay. This is the edge of the bit there. I've got several different ones. This is like a real fine bit. Because the lines are so small, it has to be a smaller bit. But what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and do the whole thing now. That's pretty much the way I do it. And before I get ready to do anything else, after I cut all the letters out, I sort of sand a little bit inside of the letters to get some of the excess out of it. But then I suck it out with the vacuum cleaner, with the shop vac. I just run the sandpaper to make it a little bit smoother in there. But we're going to finish this thing off and I'll show it to you as soon as I'm done. Alright, I got it all carved out. That stencil, which is this one right here. Got it all carved out into the wood. Went out there, went outside and spray painted the lettering. Thought I was going to do it white, but I decided to do this in black also. But anyway, that's from start to finish. That's the carving, that's the painting, that's the sanding off, and then the finished product of course, the different stencil. But that's pretty much it. They're pretty easy. Then I purchased the handles. Probably I go to Hobby Lobby a lot of times and buy the handles. They go into right here on each one, right here and here, and then they're ready to go. That's it. Pretty easy, pretty simple.